Hey guys, what's going on? Just wanted to say that I'm thinking about everybody that's following my channel. As you know, I am a pilot and my industry is getting gutted. So it's a very difficult time for everyone, and I want you to know that I'm thinking about you guys as well, and I hope you stay safe and healthy, and I hope you financially are doing well and that you're going to weather this storm. And I'll be praying for you guys, and this is a little bit longer video than I normally make, and I'm going to ramble a little bit more than usual because I've got a little bit extra time on my hands now. My airline is flying 56 flights per day now, so here I am. Lost the mustache because I was playing with the thing all the time, constantly touching my face and doing all this. So I got rid of it, trying to keep my family from getting it by me getting it. So my goal is to keep my children safe and healthy, and ultimately everyone else as well. Thinking about you guys, all the doctors, nurses, everybody out there. I'm really thinking about you guys, and I'm praying for you, and I hope everything goes well. And we'll get through this. I hope you enjoy the video. Like I said, it's longer than usual. What's up, guys? Today we're going to be doing some stuff on the race car. Going to be working on some dry brake quick disconnects for the fuel system. Those of you who know me or are a member of my Supra Owners group, you'll know I had an incident with my car. I had a fire. And not proud of it. Used up my fire extinguisher to put it out. And it was all because I was avoiding working on AN lines, because the AN lines that were on the fuel cover of my fuel tank were pretty worn out. So I'm converting the race car over to what I've got on the black car, which is Jiffy-Tite dry brake quick disconnects. They do not wear out. They're stainless steel, ball bearing driven. And when you want to disconnect a fuel line, that's it. If there's fuel pressure in there, it even holds the pressure, and you might get like a drop of fuel. So I'm going to show you guys how to assemble the lines, as well as going to show you how I'm doing my fuel cell cover with these Jiffy-Tite dry brakes. So when you put the line back on, and that's it. Depending on how quickly you can get that done is how much less fuel will leak out. It's pretty slick. I've got these on some of my oil lines. Formula One teams use a similar system, but obviously much nicer. So let's get started. Show you what we're working with here. So this is a 6AN 2000 series, and this is another 6AN. So one's going to be for the return line, one's going to be for the vent, and this will be for the drain hose that I'm going to make. And this is going to be used for adapting another the fitting that's on this bad boy right here. So this is going to get converted over from a ORB to an 8AN female. So I'm going to steal that off of there. Alright, so here's what we're working with on the race car. Go ahead and open up the trunk. It's my kid's chair, my chair, one for the wife. If I can never get her to come out to a racetrack with me. Alright, so here's what we're working with here. I've already got the vent hose assembled. All I need to do is put the 90 on and put the dry brake on here and put a dry brake on here and assemble this line. So that's what we're going to be doing. It's also worth noting that this is the main culprit of this build. It doesn't go, you can probably hear that. The whoever tightened this, they ovaled the snot out of the fitting, and so it doesn't rotate. And when you try to loosen it, it turns this, which has all of my I have a Y fitting for my lines. So I was replacing the lines. It's a long story, but I put Walbro 525s in there. And so you take this cover out, and I was sliding the plastic hose on, and everybody says they recommend heating up the hose. Well, because I was, in this general vicinity, a drop of fuel got on the plastic hose, and when it lit the whole tank on fire. The whole tank was a bonfire. The flame came up to right about here. So I put it out with the fire extinguisher, thankfully. So, yeah, it was a pretty sketchy moment. I had flames probably up to right here. It was ethanol, so I mean, the good news is it damaged literally nothing except for the plastic pipes that I was working on. So little convoluted tubes made by Holly. Let's see if I can find one of those and show you what I'm talking about. Those go on to triple barb adapters. Holly. These things are sweet. You can get them in all kinds of lengths. Anyways, they go on super tight by design. So I was sliding this onto the triple barb on my fuel hat, my fuel hanger, if you will call it that, the fuel cell cover. And I accidentally lit my car on fire. Thankfully, it caused absolutely no damage. So let's get some of this stuff going here. I'm going to convert this bad boy onto the 8AN feed line, get that put on, and then I'm going to stick these two guys on. Alright, so here we go. This will be the return. I'll tighten that up to the correct torque and everything. Basically, I'm going to have the hose sit like that. Put the male side of the dry brake right there. Here's my vent. This is actually all ready to go. So it's just a vent, so it doesn't have to be like some crazy deal here. And you just... So here's how easy these bad boys go on. So when you put it in, pull the collar back, locked. That's it. That is literally it. That's everything. So, really liking that. This is my first time fitting all this, so I'm going to tighten that one down with my AN wrench. I'll probably angle this right about like that just to give it some room. We'll see, because the fitting that goes on the other side is pretty long. Alright, so this is one of those things where I've got the line being adapted from something else that I was using. So I'm going to shorten this bad boy down. And then I'll just put the 90 on the end of it. That's it. That's how easy that is to work. So I'm going to take the 90 down to right there. I'll go get my tape. Alright, so I'm going to mark this basically where the nut goes flat to the base here at the seam. You go back where the wrench would normally be and where it would start tapering down. You want the, basically I'm going to tape this so you get an idea. You want to cut the hose right about that length, because there's an internal part right here, just like on, you know, any other fitting. But this is mostly for guys that don't do this. I'll give myself a little bit of extra room. If I have to take more off, then I can do that. All right. So you see how easy that is? That's why I'm doing this. All right, so once you've cut the line down to size, you want to, I used a hacksaw this time just because I didn't normally use a cutoff wheel and I just go, and I just cut right through it. Not going to be able to get the dust out of here though, because of this. I could use one of my other dry brakes and connect to it and blow it out, but this is cleaner. Won't get all over my black car that way. So use the hacksaw this time. When you're done cutting it, always make sure that you don't have, you know, see like this little frayed piece right here? Make sure you don't have anything that's sticking out, because that will bind up the threads and that will ruin your fitting. So always just clean the top of this off really well. All right, so let's, I'm gonna take the other fitting apart and I'll show you the rest of this part. All right, so now we're gonna insert the nut. Gonna make sure that everything's clean, because I am reusing this, so it's very important that you make sure it's clean. So the tape here is going to be used for two purposes right now. So you tear back just a little bit of it, like this, so that once you've got the whole fitting on and started, you can pull it the rest of the way off. So I peel it to right there, stick the end on, okay, and then I pull it the rest of the way off. And that keeps the fitting from fraying like crazy. This is actually one of the twist-on fittings. You twist in the opposite direction of what's normal. So with the twist-on style, I will tighten it all the way down, and then I will back it off a quarter turn. If you fully seat it, it just doesn't seem to ever want to go together correctly. Then I inspect inside of the hose, and I can see it. I don't know if you can see it on film here, but there is a little fray that is on the rubber. I'm gonna dig that out real quick. I'm gonna push it aside so that way the threads don't lock up on it. So that will make this very difficult. All right, so I'm taking this little fray piece. I'm just gonna move it off to the side and basically tuck it in underneath. That's the other reason I do this. And I can give it its quarter turn back, and then I give it an eighth of a turn. So now I've got everything all tucked away in this hose. Next thing we're gonna do is get lube. And we lube up the inside of the hose, the thread first. And I just go around, and I do it kind of at an angle. This is a fuel line, but it does not matter if you get a little bit of oil on the threads. It's not, you know, and it gets down into the hose. It's not gonna hurt anything. All right, so now I'm gonna get to the male side. Make sure it's good and clean. Okay, it's still got some oil from when I last assembled it. And then I oil this thread. And I especially make sure, because this fitting will get really, really hot as you're torquing it down and tightening it up. So make sure to get oil all the way around here. So to get it started, I'll start the fitting, and I'll go with my finger here, feeling the tension, making sure that it's not pulling away. And I'll just tighten this down until it goes reasonably finger tight. I'm gonna clean my hands up here. Now, this is a race car. I do not care if this stuff is kind of ugly. Use electrical tape here and give it 3 rolls of electrical tape. Put it nice and tight on there, and you won't get these little marks. Even with aluminum wrenches, it just doesn't work. So here we go, and wrench on here. This is the part where those vices and all those gimmicks and stuff, they don't work. So I don't use the vices. Oh yeah, and definitely do your tape back on here to mark it. There we go. I don't use the vise, so if you see a lot of black hose, you'll know it backed off. So I keep this wrench nice and far away, keep this wrench nice and centered until I get nice and close to the bottom. Anyways, I don't use the vise because what I've found is that when the hose starts turning inside of here, you just can't stop it, and it ends up making a mess of the hose, and then it ends up making a mess out of the fitting. Just keep going here. I'm using my small wrench. All right, so get a little bit close, and then I take this to the very edge to where it's not going to be, contacting the other side of the fitting. Continue on. Now, if you had electrical tape on here, that would keep it from, looking ugly. So now my hose is starting to spin in here, and I don't know if that's correct, but I mean, that's fairly normal with all my hoses. You got to keep in mind, if these hoses and these fittings are all rated to 250 PSI, and I'm not taking this stuff anywhere near there. Now, obviously, I don't want a compromised hose, but I mean, I'm not going to 250 PSI. So I have never had any problems. You guys can feel free to comment. I would love to get crimped fuel lines from Jose Valle at Kaizen Motorsports. I don't know what they run. I should probably ask them. But yeah, maybe one day I'll send them my lines that I currently have with these Jiffy-Tites on there. So that way he can make me up some crimped on fittings. I don't know. Alright, so that's fully bottomed out. Clean my wrenches up here. So you can see it backed out just a little bit. But that's not far. I'd say that's acceptable. If it pulls out any more than that, I wouldn't use it. Obviously, this is really on there. Cleaning this up and go throw this bad boy on. All right. Okay. Hopefully I did this right. And I measured it out appropriately. It's on there loosely. There we go. That's in place. So I'm going to tighten that down and tighten this one down here. And that's it. While I tighten these down, it is worth mentioning the only downside to these bad boys is, as you can see, you need space to be able to pull the two fittings apart. It's a plug. So you're gonna need space to be able to, there we go, 30 foot-pounds. You need space to be able to get this stuff to disconnect. See what I mean? So this hose is really not long enough. For the feed line, I'm going to go all the way over this way. So that way there's plenty of, space and room to pull the hose out. With this one, it's kind of tight as well because I've got that little grommet thing holding it in place. So that is worth mentioning. So anyways, get this tightened down before I forget what I'm doing. There we go. That's it. Line is all done. That's not going anywhere. Okay, guys, got the hose done. Let's see how this all fits up. Since I'm showing you how to build a fuel line again, so I'm going to get this fairly loose on here. Just snug it up just a tad so it'll rotate as needed. Got my little collar here so it's showing the Jiffy-Tite. I don't know, I'm not sponsored by them in any way. I just love them. Alright, so there we go. Fuel line is in place. These are tight. And gotta tighten that one down. Have my Allen wrench, but late tired. This works good as well. Alright, that's it, guys. That is it. Alright, so let's give it a quick test drive. Comes out. No leaks. Comes out. No leaks. There better not be any leaks coming out of this one. This is a vent hose. And not wet there. I'm going to wipe that down and turn the pumps on and give it a run.